I suppose personally, as a women's player at the moment, ahead of our Six Nations game against Italy, Canterbury and IRFU and Elvery's this morning just announced the women's jersey, and it looks phenomenal. The girls like Junior, our captain Daro, Larissa, they're all looking really great. And I suppose rightly so that Canterbury rectified the mistakes that they made during the summer and openly spoke about it. But Guinness have come on board and are on board for this really exciting partnership to promote it and to launch and to, I suppose, promote the women's game and the jersey launch as well.
Yeah, no, they like obviously it's about time that the women's game has seen some promotion. I think in women's sport in general, it's, you know, there's been nothing close to parity with the coverage, but yet the participation levels have been incredible in women's rugby in particular across the world. It's one of the fastest growing sports in women's games. So it's brilliant that Guinness have come on board. And I just looked online just before we were talking and saw the IRFU pictures, and the jersey looks class. And it's important, you know, I'm involved in doing a 20 by 20 talk in a couple of days' time. And it was triggered on the back of a tweet that I sent a few weeks ago, just because I think it's women are promoting, are pushing the rock downhill with, you know, preaching to the converted to other women. I think the responsibility lies with men to promote it. And it's frustrating because, of course, there's kickback from other men that don't want to change the status quo, that like the idea of, you know, of media coverage being, you know, male centric. But, you know, as a father of a daughter, and who knows, maybe another daughter in a few months' time, it's important that they have visibility, role models, that they have aspirational individuals to look up to, and for that visibility to actually be a thing. Why would 20 by 20 be, you know, be a moment in time and then be lost thereafter? We have to, as a male race, I think, as a male gender, pick up where the women have started and promote it, because we're fathers of daughters. And do we want more for our sons than we do want for our daughters? Nonsense. I want them to be able to aspire to being some of, you know, the great role models, yourself, Sene, you know, Claire Malloy, all these girls that have done brilliant things for the Irish women's rugby team, or if they want to be the next Leona Maguire, or they want to be the next Stephanie Roach or Katie Taylor. We've got to promote women's sport and have it visible for them to aspire to be that next generation of great sportswomen.
I do. I think that is so powerful, and such a powerful message that you said that. And I think it's interesting that, you know, the women themselves promote themselves quite a bit, and they have to really fight for that promotion. Whereas having people like you on board, it's really powerful for the women's game, and it can only go up and up. And 2020 campaign has been phenomenal, and the response they've got has been phenomenal. But I even, wasn't it Paul O'Connell was on the Late Late Show, and he chatted about how having a daughter has changed his mindset. And you're chatting about the same thing, that I suppose it's just equal opportunities and giving them the same.
Do you know what, Eimear? We as men never really understood the differences, because we didn't have to worry about it, because we were getting the upside to it. And all the small things that have become apparent, and I did a bit of research before going on my talk on Wednesday, and to understand how, like, I know it's a long time ago, my wife was telling me they didn't have a half day on a Wednesday to play sport, because it just wasn't a thing. And I know that's gone a long time, but that's what you're dealing with initially, you know, straight off the bat. You know, lots of situations where I've heard of, you know, girls' games being in co-ed schools being called up a couple of minutes early so the boys can get out onto the park and warm up beforehand. Or where there's two pitches and there's a girls' and a boys' game, the boys get precedence on the better pitch. Like, that's outrageous in the world that we now live in, and that has to change. And the only people that will change it, it will be men. And I talk about the kickback. I had someone really annoyingly, and I almost wanted a name and shame, but I don't do that. But talking, I took a picture of Jackie Hurley's book, Girls Play Too, and I've been reading it with my daughters, and And then we've been taking, or my daughter, and taking tests as to can she remember all the individuals. She's a bit better than my son at that at the moment. But then someone makes a comment, oh, I see the feminazis have gotten hold of you. It's like, we got to break this cycle. And until more people talk about it and more people try and promote it, and the reality is it's probably going to be fathers of daughters. Shane Lowry did it in the Irish Open, where he wore the 20x20, and we want the best for all of our children, irrespective of what sex they are. And that's the next tranche of how we promote this game. It's not through women, because, as I said, you're preaching to the converted anyway.
Absolutely, and your support is greatly appreciated, and more like you what is needed in the women's game.
House of Rugby Ireland, here on Joe, together with Guinness. Game changed.